Enothi Seotan, love, peace, blessing, all manner of health, wellness, prosperity, blessing unto you and your family. And when talking about correspondence and the universal application and law of correspondence, so powerful. It can open up so many different energies, different vibrations, different types of communication for us personally, when we are open to the idea of correspondence, and that this is a friendly, loving universe that was created for the well-being and ascension of every living being. And when we can recognize that and be open to that, it can, just have amazing moments of just flooding into us through all different types of sources, areas, connections that maybe we never even knew existed before. And if we've been in a situation where we've been educated in the last century, which I'm pretty sure all of us fall into that category, there was a shift about 100 years ago. There was a shift in education, and education took on what was known as the Prussian system, as opposed to the way that the world was educated before that. And the Prussian system is a military system. It's a system that's designed to create a obedient, submissive military. It's not a system that is created to nurture each individual and their own well-being, goodness, purpose, and meaning of life. It's designed to create soldiers. And one of the ways it does that is by eliminating critical thinking and replacing it with compliance thinking. And again, if you've been educated within the last 100 years, that's what you're subject to, because we have been taught a method of compliance, not critical thinking. And it's amazingly powerful when you think of the term critical thinking. Critical thinking is what's critical for you and your well-being and your positive existence in every moment. If you are a thinker who is always choosing what is critical for your own health, wealth, well-being, and for the health, wealth, and well-being of others, you're going to always be in a situation of safety, of health, wealth, and well-being. But if you are pressured or conditioned into being a compliant thinker, which is almost exclusively left brain thinking, survival thinking, survival mentality, which leads to fight or flight. And, again, it's not critical thinking. It's a very, very toxic thinking that, again, is only based on compliance. You make your decisions based on what you've been influenced to believe is true or right or wrong. And again, anyone who has been subject to the educational system, yes, even in the United States, exclusively in the United States, I might add, by certain foundations who, for some reason that, people don't really look into, decided to change the musical tuning from 432, which is known as sacred tuning, unto 440. Well, why? Why would a foundation decide to change the way that the instruments are tuned on the whole planet? frequency, compliance, ascension, enlightenment, Gnothi Seutan. That's something for you to look in and figure out for yourself. And again, when we understand critical thinking, when we understand Gnothi Seutan, know yourself, when we understand that, listen, every single opportunity that comes, or we could say in our mind and in our brain, there are really only two different types of thoughts. The thoughts that come into our mind are either going to be choices that we have to make. So they're either only going to be choices, a choice that we're going to, make right now in this moment, a choice for the future, or a conclusion that we make about ourselves, the universe, life itself, how everything works. And in order for us to personally be able to make those types of choices, we need critical thinking. If we have compliance thinking, we're always going to choose and think, what that influence wants us to choose and think. Thus, it's easy to, influence a populace to, again, join an army, mindlessly join an army, go over to somebody else's territory, trespass on their territory, kill them and take their stuff. And that's the influence that has been predominant in our world for quite some time. It goes, it's just the critical thinking that was specifically targeted and systematically removed from our educational system by certain foundations, within the last 100 years. So when we recognize that we live in a friendly universe that does communicate with each one of us personally, as above, so below, and even just as powerful as below, so above, which is the totality of that axiom, of that saying, we recognize that the shift of frequency comes within the shift of mind. The universe is definitely mental, and it is always sending out mental messages, mental vibrations, mental power, mental messages and messengers. Thus, when we understand the form of correspondence, we understand the universal law of correspondence, and we understand that there is a message. There is a message, and there is a understanding, there is a teaching that is being transmitted, sent to, explained to us through all of our surroundings on a completely uninterrupted basis. And that message is, again, it's a true path. It's a real path. It's a path of enlightenment for us specifically and personally. And when we know that it's there, and we know that there are influences that are desensitizing us, that are giving us disinformation, that are leading us in the wrong direction, when we recognize that even in the good old USA, foundations have been systematically removing this form of critical thinking, from our human family, and then when we recognize that, okay, we have the software, we have the programming, we have all of the chemistry to be able to receive these messages and understand them. And when we can start recognizing Gnothi Seutan, know yourself, and the true philosophers and sages and teachers, parental loving influences over human history, have been telling us lovingly, know yourself. And when you know yourself, you know the truth, and the truth shall make you and set you free. With that, love, peace, blessing, shalom, all manner of abundance, and something good is going to happen to you today. Genothi Seutan. Namaste.